allow us to start our session tonight. And I hope you're well and that you're doing great. And we are looking forward to interacting with you and learning together and just seeing how life can be better, especially on matters culture. So my name is Grace Nzula. It's really, really amazing to see you tonight. I'm very, very excited to see you, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. And thank you very much for joining Get It Right. Okay, I thought it was me. I saw Catherine had frozen. Was it me or what? You can tell me on the chat. Am I audible? Oh, okay. Okay. I thought it was me. All right. Thank you so much, Catherine. So it's an honor to have you here tonight. My name is Grace Nzula. I'm an HR consultant with Atara Solutions. Atara Solutions is a HR consultancy and training firm. We offer what we call HR consultancy, where we can do your job evaluations, salary surveys, upgrade your and review your policies, and we can also help you carry out your HR audits, among others. We also offer HR manager outsourced for those organizations that need to outsource their HR services. And we also offer team building and training as well. So for all your organization training needs, please give us a shot at Atara Solutions. We promise to deliver. And we also offer recruitment and selection. If you're looking to hire, you don't have to do it by yourself. We can support you on that. So, and here you are tuned in to Get It Right, Mystify issues in employment and entrepreneurship. We are here every Tuesday from 8 o'clock. We've been doing this since 2020, and we are honored to have you come back every Tuesday. For those who are joining us for the first time, we are honored to have you tonight, and we're looking forward to learning together. So allow me to give a shout out to our partners who support us in making sure that these programs are working, and that any other programs that we host, they have been there for us, and therefore we give them a shout out. So we have Nile Front Cottages. Nile Front Cottages are cottages located in Jinja, Uganda. If you're looking for a place to take your vacation, bikecation, solocation, whatever vacation, Nile Front Cottages are located in Jinja, Uganda. It is about 2 hours drive from Busia border and about 1.5 hours drive from Kampala. It is so beautiful. It is near where Lake Victoria meets River Nile. The fish there is amazing. It's out of this world. And they also run a hotel in Jinja called a Skia and Skia restaurant. They have employed those with hearing impairment. It is such a beautiful scene. It is an amazing place where everyone is inclusive. And then we have Profiles International. If you're looking to have psychometric assessments, if you're looking to become a Genius Emotional Intelligence coach, then you need to take the certification with Profiles International. We have K2HR Services. K2HR Services are our partners in Rwanda. Are you looking for HR services in Rwanda? Are you looking for training? Are you looking for outsourcing your staff? Are you looking for any HR support around Rwanda? Then K2HR Services should be able to support you on that. We have Steadfast Quality Solutions. Steadfast Quality Solutions are our partner in Uganda. If you're looking for people who can help you recruit for your boards, if you're looking for people who can help you do evaluations for your board and train your boards, then Steadfast Quality Solutions offer that as a survey consultancy company. It is headed by my good friend Herbert Zake. Herbert Zake is a Gallup Strengths certified coach. If you're looking for a coach, then look no further. Herbert Zake will be able to take you through your coaching needs, and he has coached over 500 executives, so he knows what he's doing. And then we have AR Insurance. AR Insurance. Are you looking for WIBA? Are you looking for medical insurance. Are you looking for vehicle insurance? Any insurance need, then AAR Insurance will be your people. And then we have Hotel Sapphire. Hotel Sapphire is a hotel located in Mombasa town. If you're looking for a place to host your conferences around Mombasa, if you're looking for a place to meet up for your chama, or just to enjoy coastal cuisines, or just chill out on a Friday evening, then Hotel Sapphire are the best people for that. And we have Tufaha Resort. Tufaha Resort is a luxury hotel located in Nanyuki. Are you looking for a place where you want to host your meetings? Are you looking for a place where you want to go on holiday? They have actually a warm swimming pool. So even in this July, you can actually visit them and you can get to enjoy their beautiful amenities. It is a very, very beautiful place. You need to visit. And then we have Panessa Training Institute. If you're looking to become a woodworking expert or have a passion for DIY items, then Panessa Training Institute offers training in woodworking, and they are currently running their September intake. Please sign up and be able to polish your skills. Then we have Port Sacco for all your Sacco needs. And then we have Sotet Kinyumbani. Sotet Kinyumbani is a hotel located in Nanyuki. If you're passing through Nanyuki, staying in Nanyuki, just visiting Nanyuki, or lunch, dinner, in between, they actually offer Africa food, including mursik. So if you want to eat delicious food, which is totally Kenyan or African, then you need to visit Sotet Kinyumbani in Nanyuki. If you're there on a project, or if you're just passing through as you head to Isiolo, Meru, or any other places, then visit Sotet Kinyumbani and you will get to enjoy the meals there. And of course, I would like to invite all of you for the Africa Transformation Conference, Leadership Conference. This is happening from the 6th to 8th of August here in Nairobi. Please join us for this conversation. You can check out K2 Career Center or K2 HR Services on LinkedIn and get to see the speakers that are coming in. We have quite the people who will be here. Leadership plus leadership will be meeting here. Do not be left behind. If you're looking to become a leader, if you're a leader, or you're looking to polish your leadership skills, please join us for the Africa Transformational Leadership Conference from the 6th to 8th of August here in Nairobi. All right. And like I said, you're tuned in to Get It Right with the Tara Solutions. I do not do this alone. I see our sign language interpreter is having a bit of technical issues. But yes, we have our sign language interpreter, Madam Catherine Sidandi. She does an amazing job. Oh, she makes us inclusive, and she does an awesome job when it comes to sign language. If you're looking to have an event, if you're looking to make your organizations inclusive, or you want to learn sign language, then you need to speak to Catherine Sidandi, and she'll be able to train you either one-on-one, or you can come up as a group, and she will be able to help you. Are you in your organizations? If you're looking to become inclusive and you are looking for somebody to train you on sign language, then please let you, Catherine, for the amazing work that you're doing. And thank you so much. Richard.
Grace
Richard?
Nzula Grace, the moderator of choice, how are you doing? We want to
how
see
is your
how
video off?
Yes. How are
You're
you,
freezing.
Grace Nzula, moderator of choice? How are you doing? I hope the good Lord has blessed your day. And here we are to see how beliefs, values, and those sort of ways of doing things influence business. And of course, we have the queen herself of culture. And my name is Richard J. Magoma, a HR professional of very many years. And of course, my trademark is public speaking, so that you smile all the way to the bank when you speak well. And of course, you have to prepare for your interview. I am here to help you. Over to you, Grace, so that we can kick this show on the road.
All right. Richard, thank you. And yes, I think without further ado, allow me to invite our speaker of tonight. She is a good friend of mine, and she is also the queen of culture, like Richard has said. She's very passionate about culture, but other than that, she runs an organization called Blue Concepts, and she's also the brain behind CEO Roundtable, which is a signature event that happens every year around June. And she also runs another program called LAC, Leadership Accountability Conference, and she will be telling us more about that. Yes, you're back. I was about to introduce you, then you disappeared. So yes, Damaris, you can take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Grace. It's such an honor to be here tonight on your invitation that I really welcome a lot, and I'm really happy to be here. Happy to see you, Coach Richard, right here. Always on video. I really appreciate that. And again, Catherine Sindandi there. Asante sana for the invitation. Yes, here again. I'm always
Damaris,
here most times.
you're buffering.
Yes. Is it my connection? Richard,
yes,
can you hear
was.
me? Oh, I have a very bad connection.
There's some slight of a problem.
Mm-hmm. Just a minute. I see whether I can change it. Just give me a minute. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'll shift to another, maybe tie to another connection, but as she does that, allow me to continue. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy to be here. As you've heard, my name is Damaris Ndungwa. First time at least you're meeting. And it's still back. I hear you very well. Culture Queen, yes, thanks very much. And it won't be bad either, because sometimes tech has a way of doing some things. So we're here to talk about culture. I'm very passionate about culture and all and everything about enabling organization, because that's my forte. I am an HR professional. I keep on saying that. I keep on reminding people that. But I've spent over 16 years, working around learning and development and organization development, predominantly culture. And that's what I love talking about, because we all love working in workplaces that we look forward to working to. And that's my history, why I actually am so passionate about culture, because it can really be an exciting place to work when there is so enabled, exciting support. And it can be quite a pain in your life when you're working in a place that is not unlocking your potential, neither pursuing your own purpose as you actually think you should. So I am here to talk about something. Allow me just to share here. Okay. So that we can all move together. And the topic is quite exciting for today, because it just talks about what to do when culture gets in the way. And definitely we won't miss to talk about, of course, what to do as well when culture is working. Yeah. So we'll narrow a little bit on what to do actually when it's not working, because that is when we start experiencing the pain, the uncertainty, the pressure in the workplace when culture is not working, and especially for people who are leading teams, and as well as those who are in human resource. And before I kick up this one, I just wanted to pause here and ask a question. How many of us work in organization that we know has a business plan. If you know your place of work as a business plan, sometimes we call them strategic plans. Please just give me a yes or a thumbs up. So at least I see whether we can pull some examples from there. If you work in an organization that you know, we have a business plan. Yes, we know what you're doing for the year or for the next 2 years. The KPIs are clear, yeah? Because that's where also human resource plugs in. Yes, I can see thumbs going up. Good. So in terms of strategy, I was not doubting that we will have a number of people agreeing. Let me also know how many of us here, because I believe we have also been engaged in matters of culture transformation, shifting culture initiatives. How many of us have what we call a culture guideline or a culture handbook that guides how we behave for us to achieve that business plan? How many know of a culture handbook for the organization, or you have one? If you have one, you may as well just tell us yes, thumbs up, or you actually just
Your internet, Damaris.
It's very bad.
Yeah, you have buffered a while, but now we can hear you.
Ooh, okay. Just a second, then I love to see it right now. So I see thumbs up coming. That is for culture handbook. I've seen one. Do we have any yeses there, Zula, as I shift my connection? Anybody saying they have a culture handbook?
Oops, I was talking on mute. Yes, they are saying yes, they have thumbs up. Others are saying no, they do not. Others are saying no, no.
Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
quite a number of no's and a few yes. Yeah, you want to put your presentation on presentation mode as well? Full screen?
Okay. Just a second. Am I audible now? Zula, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. I hope that works. If it does break again, maybe you will need to tell me. Okay, so we have a number of some of us here who agree that they have a culture handbook, and that's very exciting. I give you a thumbs up. I would actually want to know who we are so we can compare some notes with you. So why am I asking this? This is because I think there is a very common culture quote, culture truth that we hear a lot, that a lot of times culture becomes very dangerous, especially to business and business plans, because we are talking about when culture starts getting into the way of performance, which is business performance. Yeah. And if it gets into the business performance, therefore, we want to know at what level do we actually put the effort when it comes to driving business outcomes. And a statistic will tell you that most institutions, have you just seen here thumbs going up and people saying yes, we don't lack strategy, we don't lack plan, we don't lack a business plan. In fact, as I'll show you, institutions invest a lot. I know where we are coming from, even we know every year we start with conversation about where we are heading this year. It's very serious. In terms of strategy and leadership, are hands on investing time and resources to make sure that's very clear. But the most interesting thing, we also know a lot of truth about how the environment that we are going to execute this plan in has a bigger play in how you're going to achieve it. And that is where we will now focus a little bit our conversation on, because I believe in my experience, that's where the ball drops most of the times. And as human resource, who I want to believe a majority here, as I've also observed, because I'm also a fan of this, platform, is to ask ourselves, therefore, what is our role right there? And what can we do when this gets into the way? So allow me quickly just to pass this, because I think I've said I work with Blue Concepts Africa. Blue Concepts Africa, we are dominantly envisioned to build high performance cultures for institutions across Africa and beyond. And culture is really a big kind of thing, because everything in it is what drives our success, including leadership, conversations, development, and capacity, how we work as teams, and so on and so forth, including structures. And we've worked with a number of institutions just within the region, Africa and beyond. But also sometimes the easiest analogy I use for culture is the wind. Maybe some of you have seen this kind of a quote. Because culture is so, you feel it, but you can't see it. Yeah. You know, your day is so bad, and that's no doubt. Everybody can see that you actually have a messed up day, because probably you had a conversation that didn't go so well with your supervisor, or you just feel let down by your staff, or just someone rubbed you badly because it just made you feel a little bit unrespected in the meeting, or probably something was said in that meeting that made you feel like everybody is blaming you. And these things you can't see, but they make you actually feel. And you feel something that can be described. So I liken culture like the wind, because you can't see the wind. But can you feel it? Absolutely. You can even see the evidence of wind, because when it starts blowing, you see the effects of it. They say if you are a sailor and the wind is blowing, you can actually accelerate your journey towards your destination very well, faster, efficiently, and makes it easier for you to get there. And that's culture. It's what it does. When culture is aligned, that we just seem to have some connection, we are getting the right support, especially from those who are leaders. We are having an understanding at the working level with our teams. We respect each other. You know, we openly are able to speak without having to look over our shoulders who is listening. We can contribute to discussions and ideas that can be taken seriously from whoever has convened the meeting, and they'll pick in a very diverse, objective manner the critical ideas and move with them forward. So you feel you have contributed, and they'll come back and say, this idea worked. What Damaris you said was very helpful. You feel recognized, because that is the wind blowing. So you get more connected. You love actually showing up in these meetings and contributing confidently. It builds your leadership confidence, like what Richard was telling us, because of course, confidence becomes very critical on what we drive and so on and so forth. That is the wind blowing. And when it's working for you, you're being supported, you're being given feedback that you share, continue sharing. It is helping, it's contributing in this way. It has meant the results to do this. That you actually have this commitment to answer queries for our customers, or visit and unlock our customers' issues, and so on and so forth. It is helping. We appreciate, and you see it reflecting on the appraisal, which we do, of course, as human resource. You see the results, the contribution, you see the connection to the outcomes at the end of the day on what you're pursuing. You see the wind is blowing on your side, because that will mean that if you're doing your best and everybody, the right people are supporting you, you're getting the feedback, and of course, probably you're doing what you're supposed to do with the feedback, then you see the wind moving you. You will see recognition coming. You will see maybe salary increment coming in. You will see your team goals, of course, changing and moving. That is the wind blowing. It's a culture working for you. It's exciting to work there. And those are the evidence of the wind blowing or the culture. Sometimes it sounds like when you move to another word, I'm sure Social and Zula likes is coding, because it's like the code that drives the software. And culture is like the software of the organization, and the results, which is the strategic plan outcomes, are like the output that you can see. But when culture starts going south, now we of course talk about the toxicity. It becomes very uncomfortable for everyone. In fact, when you're Koko Jew, and those people who are leading at management level here will definitely agree with me. The pressure will eat you fast, and then it comes down to to the frontline people. And by the time it hits the frontline people, it's very toxic. You feel the pressure across board. And that's when you also see that it's the wind still blowing, but this kind of wind is ain't the one probably you would actually want to, live with a day no longer, because it can get toxic. Instead of feeling appreciated for your work, or maybe, you are championing for culture, and for us to be in line with the culture that we want, we have to actually live up to some ideals or some standards. For example, critical standards we use for organizations is core values, are the things that we hold as valuable for us to work. When we agree that let's work with some sense of professionalism, or even some sense of excellence, because we have to be moving forward with speed. Do you see excellence when you're walking around your space of work, when you're talking to your colleagues? Do you feel it? How does it look like? How does it feel? Is it just a word written, or you can feel people actually pushing the boundaries to do their best? Because if it's not there, then the wind is not hitting, and becomes very hard if you're the one championing that cause, because you will actually hit what you're going to just talk about, the blockers, when things are not working and they're inhibiting now performance. Because instead of excellence, you get disconnection. Maybe people are just aloof. They are listening, but you aren't seeing any actions. I don't know whether you've ever felt like you put everything in the first quarter in line, alafu when you're waiting to do the appraisals, you feel like, oh God, you don't know where the disconnection actually started. Things are just not working when you're doing those check-ins or maybe appraisals. And that is culture for you. And when you talk about the heavy effort, resources that we put on understanding where we are going as a team, as an organization. We call it the business strategy. It's what we base performance on. It's very important because, again, we say culture is for business growth. Yeah, because culture doesn't exist. By the way, culture doesn't exist by its own. But the moment a business or an organization is established at its own vision, culture becomes very critical, whether you want it or not. It just comes uninvited, as long as you bring people in the space to actually execute that vision of yours, or that goal that you are pursuing. But as much as we know that, look at these statistics here. Because sometimes I read these things and I get puzzled when I go into some boardrooms. We actually, I don't know, inclined to being so clear on the strategy, which is the responsibility of the management, of the leadership. Most times, even when there's no plan or strategic plan, we will be actually talking about our annual plans. Somehow we know where we are going. And so some supervisor or manager will tell us, we have to meet this quarter. We have to meet this kind of business goals. We need this kind of financial goals. We need this kind of market growth, KPIs and so on and so forth. In terms of customer and customer satisfaction, we need to look like this. We never lack those ones because it is very critical for the leadership. But we also know a lot of things, because when you look at these statistics, 60 billion, and this is real data, by the way, not old data, very recent data. $60 billion, and that's a lot of money, go into consulting for annual business plans or development of strategies. That tells you how serious we take this as institutions. And it's very good, by the way, because without knowing how we are, probably we will never get where we ought to be. We also told 9 of 10 organizations develop strategic plans, but only less than 30% succeed. Hence, this discussion we're having today, why? What happens? What happens that we don't meet? And by the way, when you're talking about this global strategy, think about your own team goals or your own, even your own yourself, because you're like an organ, an organization. 84% of executive teams spend more time in talking strategy, in evaluating strategy, in rewarding for strategy, and so on and so forth. Yeah, there is heavy dependency on strategy, as you can see. But we also know the other flip of it. 6% of C-suite executives and 84% of employees, they believe, and they actually say that culture is critical for us to succeed in that strategy of ours. 67, and this is in Africa, executive side culture inertia, and this is where we resist change. We resist to actually build a culture that is enabling. Culture inertia as a top barrier to digital transformation. I put digital transformation because it's going to be the next biggest frontier in transformation for organization. Hence, it's going to affect how we work. Companies with strong adaptive cultures achieve better results, far more, 4 times, and so on and so forth. So we can see how these two things, culture and strategy, interlock together. They can enable each other because they do enable each other. They can as well chew each other, especially clarity on strategy, bad culture, we aren't going to get there. In fact, we will just get a frustrated organization full of frustrated bosses always coming down with pressure, and all of us looking up for some help, but just feel frustration and toxicity. But I'll just quickly talk about, I think I've spoken about culture and culture as a wind, and I will also spend some few minutes in talking about, therefore, if we understand culture and how it works, it's actually not rocket science. It's in the small things that we do every day. And being intentional on asking ourselves, are these things that we actually consistently doing aligned to the culture we think is going to get us there, and the culture we actually feel is enabling our potential and the contribution in the workplace? And therefore, it becomes very critical for us to ask ourselves, do we actually know the culture we desire, or the desirable culture for our space? Number one. Before, if you don't know it, how will you know when it's getting into the way? Number two is, when we realize actually the desired culture is not what we have, what do we do? Yeah. If we feel the culture we desire actually is described by these things: respect, excellence, diversity and respect for the same, belonging, whatever we actually say, this is us, and this is what we need for us to get where we actually are being told to go. How do we get that to come alive into our space or our organization? Because that is the biggest challenge, the how. Sometimes we may know, and I tell you, every organization I've worked in one way or the other, including our own workplaces, have defined culture in certain manners for our institution, our vision, our mission, and our guiding principles, which are like core values. But that's compliance, it's just written. Most times it's not actually what we see every day, but culture is what we do, it's not what we write. Yeah, it's the behavior, it's the way we behave, it's not what we actually have for compliance in documents. So how do we embed it is another question that we have. And let me tell you, besides knowing the way we define culture, it's the behaviors, it's the habits, because I'm sure you will say that. How else do we define culture, by the way? We can get to know some insightful ways you define culture right there in your chart. How do you define culture at your space, or even for your for your colleagues or for the teams you work with? How do you define culture? I'm sure nowadays there are so many ways that insightful ways we define culture. How do we define culture? Before I tell you what I actually have perceived culture as in my 16 years of experience. Anything coming through, Zola?
Yes, there's Jedi that was saying culture, our way of life.
The way of life, yeah. It sounds like the way we do stuff here, the common one I hear. How do you define culture? Or do
Rosemary
you
says
hear colleagues define?
culture is a way of doing things and perceived as a norm. Mary Lillian Nabunya says where we do things here. Audrey
The
says
way we
our
do
style.
I like that.
Yeah, keep the comments coming. Keep the comments coming on the chats. Yeah, we have how people behave in terms of doing things. That's from Grace. And somebody else here is talking about theme, color, dressing, time, and behavior. Other one is saying artifacts.
Beautiful, beautiful. Interesting ways of defining culture.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like that one for dressing code. It's our culture. Interesting. Yeah. But really culture is like if I were to emphasize a little bit is what we do more than what is written or what we actually have in our website or we have in our strategic plan right there on page 1, 2, up to 5, and so on and so forth. Culture is the real culture is what is lived in your organization every day. Sometimes I just tend to say it's most times defined, embedded, and anchored by the things that get to be prioritized. Because once you prioritize things, it's like you have directed behavior. And this, I speak especially from a leadership perspective. And leaders here, I know you will hear me out here, and it will be relatable to you as well. When we determine what certain aspects are prioritized by leadership, what does that mean? It means that it will affect the decisions that will be made around those things. It will affect the resources that will be aligned to those priority areas. It will mean that a certain alignment of our actions or activities, sometimes even the key result areas that we have to pursue will determine all this and how we get there. And when we have our space of operation defined, then at most times it actually will make us behave in certain ways. Let me give you an example. If we say this quarter, or a certain priority is made at leadership at this quarter, we focus more on reaching on our client reach. So what does that executive statement mean? It might mean actually all our teams will have to find a way to align their activities towards client meetings in terms of reach, in terms of engagement, in terms of activations. And that aligns all activities, including the ones for HR. You'll see us more in CSR activity, participating and collaborating with probably marketing and so on and so forth. Does that affect where some resources go? Yes, it does. And then you begin to see us moving a little bit away from some things that probably thought they're ideals, like training. We minimize our training effort, time, and so on and so forth, and maximize on this priority. So it is what is being prioritized per se. So if, for example, we are there strongly as human resource and we are saying, hey guys, we need to have some interdepartmental collaborations. And this quarter, we need to have more activities and co-creation and within projects. And we move with that, we mark that because of course we see that is what is going to work. But someone top there makes a different priority. It affects how we reward. Therefore, we will see key rewards going somewhere else, not where we actually thought it should be in. And what does that do? When we see more rewards going to where actually you guys are telling our efforts, and you see people actually pulling off their energy towards what we are saying to actually maybe where the reward is, because that reward is being driven by a priority. And that's why we see either an institution prioritization working magic or actually sabotaging performance. Because if we say we actually going to reward performance, meritocracy here, but somebody who is a manager is actually promoting, for lack of a better word, people who are my friends. You see, now as a leader, my priorities completely shift this circle of how we work. And that affects culture. Yeah, so culture begins to look like the things the leadership prioritizes. Actually, it becomes the call of the day. So what we prioritize as leaders actually shape culture. That's very critical for us to be very keen on. How decisions are made is culture. Because it doesn't matter how we preach integrity. If somebody is rewarding lack of it, then there's a problem. Because they're actually embedding the opposite of what we actually are thinking. Yeah, do we see that sometimes? Sometimes do we actually see while we are busy working for performance for our teams, someone is rewarding actually lack of it. As long as actually, I don't know whether it's today or, or yesterday, someone was saying, when you see your bootlickers in your team, people hailing their bosses or their bosses hailing some mediocrity and calling them, giving them high fives in the meeting. But you know, that's actually the mediocrity we have in our teams. You run away like you murife because that's a toxic culture, which is somehow very true. But what do we do? Yeah, it's a question we're asking. When culture starts getting in the way, what do we do? So culture is it's a decisions that are get to be made, and this decision can become very strong when actually in affecting culture when they come from the top. And when I say top, I mean leadership, because if you have someone looking up to you, you have influence a lot about the decisions you make. Who gets promoted? It's a matter of reward and recognition. When you reward a behavior, you get more of that behavior. If you reward, or I mean, if you promote performance, you will get more people performing. If you promote actually people who reinforce our values like integrity or innovation, they're innovating, they are sharing ideas, very innovative, and you reward that or you promote them because of that. You see more of that. Now, if you promote the opposite, you also see more of the opposite. Yeah. So these things we condone, what we get, we invest in more. Who and what gets rewarded, how we communicate is all culture. So you see these things, I'm just trying to break them to look like what we see in the workplace, because that's culture. If you walk into a meeting and nobody ever gives you an opportunity to share, that's culture. Because we are promoting a culture that is not inclusive, but believes that some people actually have the monopoly for knowledge and they can make decisions and you have to run with them. And that's culture. So we understand culture beyond just these big terms like culture is strategy for lunch and so on and so forth. It's the small things we see and do every day. The question is, these consistent behaviors that we observe every day, are they aligned? Are they unlocking our potential? Are they making us feel like the vibe of working and actually putting in all the effort that we need? And are we getting the results that we actually are pursuing? And are we getting rewarded? Are the people who are not aligned being sanctioned for that? And so on and so forth. Yeah, because all this experience, the way we do things as we've defined it, is what will make me, connect with what I want to do today, tomorrow, and to what level I actually come down to do it. It's experience that we go through in the workplace, because if there's respect, because it's how we treat each other, I see the decision that the boss has made is aligned to what actually we are pursuing. We are getting budget and resources for us to be able to deliver this because they're investing, the investment of time, of even resource. Then you get, so you feel like you're having a better, experience in the workplace. And what does that do? It makes you actually go the extra mile to pursue the goals within that exciting environment. And then you see customer stakeholder experience going up. And when we look into that in terms of HR, we say we have highly engaged employees. Yeah, because now there is meaningful working. And that keeps up performance. But let's look on this wind we were talking about, or the code if you like. Yeah, because when do we know that actually we have a culture that's replicable, or that we can say is entrenched, it can be defined? We can actually talk about it, and people will actually identify with what you're talking about in an organization. I've worked in institutions where you ask people, what is your culture? And you get so many varied descriptions. And that tells you there is actually divergent culture. There is no one unified way of saying, oh, this is how we do things here, because people see different things. When you think about your organization and how we behave, and you actually are a champion that would want to define the culture and drive a culture for your team or organization that is aligned to the bigger ideal of the team or the organization, then you begin to think about this wind or this code as a deliberate design of the things we value, the things we believe with conviction, and the mindset we want to have towards what the ideal we believe, and hence the behavior that we want to exhibit every day. And this behavior, mindset, and so on and so forth has to show up in our operations, has to show up in our people systems. And when I talk about people systems, is how we recruit. Do they reflect all these ideals and our beliefs and what we value? How we actually orient and onboard. Do we see these ideals there? How we manage the talent or the employees when you bring them. Do we coach? Do we mentor? What do we do in this process of coaching and mentoring? Do we reflect these ideals of the things that matter? Because at the end of the day, if this culture has to come alive, it has to be repeatable. And when I say repeatable, it means something like a situation where every new employee is able to learn a standard, the standard that we've set in a consistent manner, such that how we do things here is consistent, is understood. If we say here we respect people, when they come, they can see and feel that they are respected and that actually are valued. And when they open their mouth, people are actually listening with intent because they respect even what they are going to say. So it is repeatable. We put a sense of a system such that we know these are our ideals and this is the way we'll make sure actually they are consistent across board. And then number two is to make sure they are teachable. Is your culture teachable? Because if it's not teachable, then you don't have one. And when I say teachable, it means that anybody who has the opportunity to lead others or to be able to influence other people within your space or organization, including managers, supervisors, leaders per se, can mentor. And they model, first of all, because you have to live it. If you don't live it, it never works. Because people don't believe or live or do what you say. They'll always emulate. That's why leadership becomes very critical when it comes to culture, because of that modeling and orchestration of it. So we model and pass it with clarity, because we coach our teams, because once we recruit, we bring them, we take them to IT or HR, they have a supervisor there. They'll always be learning from the supervisor. In fact, if the leader they interact with most times, that guy is going to shape their experience, and work experience is a driver or a definer of culture and so on and so forth. So it must be teachable. So the question is you as a supervisor, or is your supervisor able to articulate that desired culture or the ideal of your organization? If you ask them, do they know it? Because if they don't know it, then there's a problem. We might not even know when culture is getting into the way. And the last one, and most important, is has to be traceable. Yeah, you find evidence of this is our culture, it's been done, and it is actually being done in this manner, consistency. You can see it in a daily behavior when you walk into every department, when you go to where we take tea together, or when we are brainstorming in a meeting, you can feel this is actually this organization or this department, or so on and so forth. So you feel it, you can track it in performance, because when we say our ideals, for example, is we are people who embrace innovation. Then if we don't find innovation in performance management, then you're lying. Because the only way we know it is existing, is being done, is actually by measuring it. And how do we measure it? It's in performance management. So we have to measure for culture. In other words, it has to be right there in all metrics and structure that we measure. And that's how you can tell whether, or you can make your wind, or this culture, or this could actually work for your team. But how do you tell when culture is getting into the way? Most times, and the easiest way to tell is by looking into performance. Yeah. And when you look into performance, most of the course that we from consulting usually get is because somebody has observed a dipping kind of curve or consistency, or performance just seems to be not the one we're anticipating. So they start asking, where is the problem? Usually performance is the easiest spot people will know, maybe get a hang of, maybe the culture is wrong. Yeah, because you probably feel you've recruited right, you've trained right, you've managed these people, given them resources and structure right, but we still are not there. So you begin to see probably it's something that is not something you're measuring. You're not actually measuring it, because all those other things you can see them and measure them. Then the cause isn't skill, neither resource, you're sure about that. But somehow the KPIs are being missed. Or probably there's a certain metric that you've observed, like turnover, that is going up. But you can't actually attach a real issue into why they went. Yeah. You probably may get some insights when you do the interviews that will tell you some insights about the culture. It could actually be also other issues like customer complaints. Those metrics that you track maybe and be able to see when you do a dipstick, like a culture, an employee engagement survey or satisfaction survey, and those other surveys you do, you may get some metrics that actually might give you insights that there is an issue with culture, depending on the insights that they come out. Yes. So some you will see or hear them. And sometimes when you walk or listen in teams, or when you unapiga tu story with your staff or colleagues, then you hear some words that like, that's not my job. Unajua si kazi yangu. Hiyo haiko kwa JD yangu. That's not my work. Then you start understanding hapa, the level of connection is haiko. Yeah, we've always done this it like this, especially for legacy kind of teams. Tumekuwa hapa for 27 years na hii kitu tumekuwa tukifanya hivyo, so you realize while we were anticipating you guys to change and do this in a different way, this guy is actually stuck and resistant. So you begin to see the insights where I didn't want to say anything. That tells you about probably there is fear of being able to communicate openly, or there's lack of trust, or maybe retaliation. So you begin to see those insights coming in. Or maybe let's wait for the boss. That means, the only voice we hear here is a boss. In other words, our ideas maybe never get to be valued, or teams are not actually given the opportunity to voice and give their opinion and contributions. Then you see a culture where diversity is not valued so much, and diversity of ideas innovation, and so on and so forth. And you can also see it like you can actually see guys just not working together. You see people just waiting for you to fall down, or somebody just not switched on to collaborate with another person. And you see that in it as it works, because you can see when people are working who is plugging and who is not. Or other people are holding information. You communicated through a meeting on Thursday. Next week, Tuesday, this segment of your team doesn't know. But this segment probably knows. Literally, someone just held some information or held some critical things. So you see those things happening. And fear and silence, or these are indicators of a bigger underlying cultural issues that now tells you the problem we are having, this outcome you're seeing here is actually about the culture. And there are many ways of actually seeing that there's a problem with culture, especially when you can actually hear people conversations about their experiences, about what they think. You can also see people who are very passionate all of a sudden switching off, or maybe just pulling their energy out and just rather doing the bare minimum. That speaks to something. And that's something, it's always about how we work, how we do things. And that gets into the way because they'll just get bare minimum in terms of their performance or achievement of their KPIs. You won't be able to fire them, but you'll be struggling to bear with them. Yeah. You will have people who are very vocal like the Gen Zs, and they'll tell you off because this one is not going to work with me. You can't say that we are flexible, but when you propose ideas, you met with resistance like fire. It gets crazy when it gets to that point, and then you begin to see catch a reel, and they resign and go, and you actually think there was a conversation to have the next day. It's capture. So how you tell all these signs are signals to tell you that most likely we have a defective way of working, which is culture. So what do we do? Yeah. The first thing when you see these things, first of all, I always I've seen people jump who jump straight away and say we actually need to do initiative ABCD. We need to train the Gen Zs, for example, because they think the Gen Zs are they need to understand our policies. So you propose a training. Or you see these guys are they don't talk in the meeting. Maybe they need a communication training. So you take them for training. Or maybe they're just disrespectful to the people who convene the meeting. They just choose to sabotage. Then you decide to start pulling sanctions. I don't know how many people have ever been, victims of such things in the workplace. But you see, there's a bigger thing and a bigger game playing out there that actually is just sending these signals in. So the best point to start is to pause and do a context analysis or a situational analysis and just find out where are these things coming. Why is it that people just don't want to actually support or go an extra mile, even when it's not their job? Because their organization, their cultures, their people don't mind. Actually, I've worked in some cultures where you see someone actually covering for 2 roles for a week because they believe in supporting one another. Yeah, you have an issue with your exam, you say, yeah, I wouldn't mind actually taking both desks for Damaris and mine. And nobody will say it's not my job. But all of a sudden, some situation will happen. They'll say, no, hiyo si kazi yangu. There has to be a reason. There has to be something behind it that we need to actually unearth. And that is where culture definition comes in. Why are we doing these things and what is triggering that? So the first is, let's go analyze the situation. I'm sure you've heard about culture audit or culture assessment and so on and so forth. There are many titles there. It's very important. When you feel actually culture is like getting to the way, actually go down and assess it. And there are many easy ways to do that. Okay, so let's go assess the culture. And culture audit becomes very critical for this. And culture audit one of the things that you need to remember is you also need to think about a framework that is very responsive to your organization. Because if your organization believes in a culture that is, you want a culture that's a good culture, then you go for definitions, ideals that will make your culture more enabling. Yeah, because there are cultures that are not like heightened in terms of performance. We just need an organization that is conducive for people to work together. If you think the organization has to align, is very instrumental when it comes to the strategy, where we are going, our vision, and our strategic intent in the next 5 blah, blah years, and that's very critical. Then you need to also reason strategically as a champion of this initiative or culture transformation, that you need also think as you initiate this process, alignment towards that, because culture has to be seen to be enabling those strategic intent for it to make sense. Yeah, if it's not being aligned to where we are going, then it will be curtailed, because the reason for existence of organization overrides all these things. If it is not fueling where we are going, then you will have a very big problem selling that proposition to anyone in leadership. But strategically, transformation is where we are aligning our values, our experience, our growth and development, our performance management, how we treat each other and we bring values into life to our strategic intentions or our strategic outcomes. Yes, and that's why now you see culture enabling strategy, and that is the language actually any executive, any board would support any day, because again, they know this is their responsibility, and those who are leading here, I'm sure you accept that. All you want is an enabling culture that actually unlocks the potential of delivery for the strategy. Therefore, let's audit. When you go to the auditing the culture context, think of, again, frameworks, because frameworks are many. You can go for whatever you feel is working for your organization. For us in Blue Concepts Africa, we believe in creating high performance cultures. So hence performance becomes very critical. And for us to audit your culture, we'll come down and audit key elements that drive high performance culture for your institution. That means it's completely tagged to your strategic plan. And our approach is very simple. It will have 8 drivers for high performance. It's called the HPC framework. It has 8 key elements that drive high performance culture. And this will give you critical metrics that will tell you at the end of the day, is what we are doing across all our teams, across our departments, across all our functions, aligned to where we are going. So it will give you a metric called culture strategy alignment. And that alignment is always a critical metric at the top. It's all you need to know, and you'll be able to know whether anybody working in frontline is doing the right thing. And number 2, it also tells you in terms of benchmarking high performance culture where you are, because it gives you high performance culture index. That index is all you need to monitor anytime, any day, across the year, across the month, the years of your strategic plan. And you'll be telling that in terms of meeting our strategic intent, we will be able to, or we are struggling. And there are many others that will tell you our brand and the key elements that affect our brand, because our brand is our image. It is what our talent will be looking for before they come in. So it gives you that metric about how our image is being affected by the things that you're doing, and so on and so forth. And most critically is the critical elements, how we are performing around them, because a certain rate is critical for us to be able to say, in terms of change, we are agile. At what rate? That is culture, because change is part of culture. How we communicate, how do we rate, how do we benchmark? Because there are benchmarks for high performance culture for institution. And it's all for all these elements. Yeah. Do we actually understand where we are going for an organization? Because that is critical for performance management, reward and recognition as well. So in other words, what I'm saying is use a framework, that actually aligns the change for culture to your strategy, and therefore the initiative and change strategy becomes very easy to pull out and aligned. So when you come down, of course, culture audit is critical. It gives you very good insights, a lot of insights. Yeah, you can use them as long as the strategy tenure is concerned. So this is one thing I want you to remember as we walk out from this session. Sometimes you do culture audit just to know how our culture is like. It's a good thing, because you can't change what you don't know. You have affirmed the signals that you are seeing actually exist and to what level, who they are affecting at what degree. Culture audit will tell you that. In other words, it gives you a baseline for change, how you're doing, and what needs to change as a matter of urgency. The next thing is you need to actually be intentional in defining the culture for your teams. At least ask, what is our culture? Ask the supervisor, ask the boss you work with. If you are the boss, tell your people what is our culture. If it is not defined, then make sure you define it or you root for definition. Because you can't embed, you can't entrench what you haven't defined. Yeah. And the best way to start is if you believe your values, because culture starts with values. It is what gives you your standards of operation in terms of behavior. You need to unpack them into behaviors. Yeah. And that is where you start defining. When we say we are people of innovation, what exactly does that mean? Because that mean different things in different organizations. Yeah. What does that mean? Does it actually give us the audacity to share ideas? You have to tell us. Because we don't want to share ideas, then we realize, oh, in fact, instead of sharing our ideas and thinking and crafting and learning a lot, we should have just had a meeting with a client. So what does it mean? Yeah, because that drives the behaviors, and behaviors is what we see every day. It's what we actually say. This is the way we behave. It's how we do things here. That's our culture. Yeah. So help defining our behavior, and this is critical for anybody leading. Yeah, you have to define. So when we say it's integrity, when will we know that when we see integrity in our workplace? Define the value, unpacking into behaviors. Then measure the behaviors, because these behaviors have to be measurable. Yeah, measure, and that's how you look them into performance management. You begin now to appraise for culture. Whatever gets measured gets done. When it is now being appraised into our performance management, then guess what? We are anticipating for it. So we are very keen to make sure we are actually collaborating. And if I know there's an expectation for me and on me about the level at which we collaborate, which is our culture, it's how I get help to work with my team or I support other teams, then now we are living what we actually are preaching. And once we do that, it's giving us a result that we know for sure it is linked to the strategy. And now if they ask you, HR, what are you doing? If you're here in HR, how is your contribution? You can confidently pull the reports and the decks and the dashboards to actually show, due to collaboration of this initiative, the results are A, B, C, D, and this is what is leading to this kind of outcome, very critically measured from your balance scorecard, for those who use balance scorecard, or even whichever system you use for performance. And that is only possible if you have unpacked your standard operation or guidelines, which is your values, into definition, clarity, what it means, and we leave it through this behavior. Measure the behaviors, put them across along the other business KPIs. Then number 2 is develop a culture change management strategy, because when you do a culture audit, you will find what we commonly call the enablers, the things that actually have been sustaining us, because we have actually been keen on growing customers every day, and we have been keen on meeting our customers. Oh, boiler, this is what has been sustaining us. It's a big enabler. We need to sustain it. It will also tell you the things that are bringing you down. For example, I don't know why I get this all the time, that there is this feeling that there's favorism in most organizations. So that kuna mtu wangu sana. I don't know whether kuna mtu wangu issue in Kenya, I mean in your organization. So this mtu wangu favorism kind of a problem now becomes a big issue when it comes to, building, becomes an issue. In other words, becomes a disabler or a limiter. Or it makes other people dissent. Why should I work hard? Because mtu wangu will always get the promotion. It could be also, even if I do a presentation, my boss will never actually appreciate me. So there's lack of recognition. Then you realize these are the things, because you always get these insights. So you get the priority disablers, you get the priority enablers. Disablers, you have to do something about it. And that is what makes the basis for your culture change management strategy. In other words, initiatives that will feature in this change management strategy must be the key enablers, disablers you have. So the good thing, up to this point, the audit has told you your current culture. You leadership, through your leadership, you know the desired culture. Because as much as we define the strategy and business plan, we know what culture we need for us to deliver that. Most times it's actually defined, even in plan. So our biggest challenge at work is to bridge those two. And that is where the change, that's why it's called culture change or culture transformation, because it's a change aspect that we move from where we are to our desired culture. So we say where we are is we are sabotaging each other. Communication is not working. We are not rewarding ideas. Where we want to be is people of innovation, more ideas, adopting ideas, rewarding ideas. That is our desire. So how do we get there? We begin. It's a change process. So that change process, the how is the change, is how you manage the change. You have to communicate and tell people, by the way, are we becoming innovative? You have to answer those questions. Otherwise, they resist it. It reminds me of an organization I worked in, and they had invested 55 million on a digital platform to enhance. It is actually a financial institution to enhance product accessibility for customers. And they had actually projected a fantastic work plan and rollout plan for that. And the CEO sits down in. They were only getting more complaint, more pressure from the board to answer the question, why is this thing not working? 6 months in, yeah? And the more this thing was rolled out to customers, the more complaints they got, because customers were not getting the service as it had been promised, yeah? So by the time we came in, there was actually a frustration on what is happening. If plan is vetted, it can work, what is happening? So someone had told them, it's maybe the way you rolled in, it's resistance. But when he came in, of course, you want to listen more. You hear the plan, fantastic. Then red flag starts coming out when they're talking about how they rolled it out. But how they rolled it, of course, milestones are back. Yes, somebody speaking?
How far are you? Your people are leaving.
Somebody took my watch. I'm wondering, am I off time? Let me just have a check. My daughter disappeared with my watch, so oops, yeah, I need to end. Just give me 3 minutes, then I'll be able to wind it.
Okay.
Yes. So now the story turned out to look like the boss was actually running with everything. They would have meetings and everybody would just listen to be told what to do. Yeah. And when you listen to what to do, one thing I noticed in the meeting is the guy who actually had all the information was not giving information, except when they have actually been asked, you have that report, why can't you share it when they respond? Otherwise, they just keep quiet. So we actually spoke with my colleagues and said, let's just find out what is happening. So we asked them 2 questions. In this meeting, do you usually make decisions on way forward that you want to follow through? And they said unanimously, yes, when we meet, actually, we get decisions. That was a good tick. Then I also asked them, So has there ever been a time when anyone challenged the decisions here in the boardroom? And they all went quiet. And that silence kind of, puts your antennas up. Why are we not challenging these decisions? And when we picked the anonymous sticky notes just to ask them why, we realized actually most of the decisions were unanimously made, no soliciting of ideas. And because of that, just people felt disconnected. And guess what? That's how the project was failing, because the decisions that were being made were not actually the ones that were working on ground. So guys were just disconnecting, switching off. And that's it. It affects a lot on how you roll change on people. So it's a whole change management class. I guess this is another day we'll talk about how to manage change. Yes. So when it comes to change management, you have to be moving from the people towards the goal or the desire, and you have to move with the people. So the communication, the engagement, the buy-in, and so on, you have to be getting the people, because at the end of the day, it's the people who implements the change. It doesn't matter whether it's a 2 billion digital platform, it is going to be run by people. You leave the people behind, you actually have zero implementation of that. And that is change. It works equally for culture and any other change. And this becomes very exciting when you can rely on models that are very pro people for change. And there are many. I mean, we can have these discussions. We have a 4-step one that walks you from when you audit the baseline, who you need to have in your corner for you to actually get it to implementation and sustaining. Is a 4 or 5 level model of change and culture transformation. Yes. The other one is align your systems. And I'm speaking to human resource professionals here, because some of the structures we have are very critical in sustaining culture. For example, we do recruitment and onboarding. Yeah, you need to use structured behavioral interviews. I mean, I'm not going to reiterate that because things have changed. Because you need to actually assess fit for people when they are coming in. Fit is very critical. Don't have someone you spend all the time and resources, and then they come and tell you, man, you guys work like this, and they want to go in just the second week. Yeah, you don't want. In other words, let's align our ideals straight away from these structures and systems we have. The way we do recruitment, the way we onboard, let them feel the culture that we have. If we are people of integrity, they will feel it, because we'll assess it with no jokes, even in the interview. Mpaka they know hapo, integrity is a critical thing. If it's performance management, let's reflect all these things you're calling culture, because it is how we reinforce behavior of the culture we want. Our appraisal tool, we have to redesign it to assess both results and behavior. Because if we can't be talking culture, it's important, and we never actually have it reflected in measures. We only talk operations and we measure for it. Then we will always have operations wrong when it comes to what we deliver and so on and so forth. Then build capacity, because you will find capacity gaps. You will have a leader who has no skill, no competence in actually leading change. And as a leader, you will definitely have to lead change, because you have to emulate the culture. If they lack that capacity, yeah, we have to create space for building capacity. And it's all up to the front line. Even for the guy who welcomes visitors, they must build capacity. So when people walk in, they feel our culture. And I'm sure you walk into some organizations, you feel the customer, experience very high, and that's intentional. It cuts all the way to leadership and to our policies, procedures, turnaround time, all those structural things. We now streamline our culture around that. And when it gets to that, then we say we have coded or we have entrenched the culture. It's in the system. Even when you as an HR leaves, even you as a manager leaves, the system continues. That's where the word system. I know you've had it in Kenya, where the system, because it's deeply coded. Whether you come or you've been there, the system always is the same, and so on and so forth. Then definitely, to make work easier for us while we are this transformation, let's leverage on technology. And there's a lot that technology can do for us and so on and so forth. So as I finish this, maybe for reflection, what is actually coded in your
Richard, we seem to have lost Damaris. Can you hear me?
Yeah, she's frozen. She's frozen.
Okay. All right. Maybe as we wait for Damaris to come back, you can tell us, what is your take home? What is your take home? Okay. We've totally lost her. What is your take home? You can engage us on the chat. And I wanted us to get a poll done. So as we wait for Damaris, you can let us know. Where is my survey now? Polls and quizzes.
My power went off and I think I got off.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so I was just concluding with my last slide there. And yes, so that's more like what I had to share today with you. Yeah, you guess it's something I'm passionate about. I can talk about it for as long as it can be. Yeah, so that's it. Let's go and make it intentional, at least with the signals we see for culture, for our space, whether at employee level or at leadership level. Thanks very much, Grace. If there's any question at this moment, maybe one or two. And thanks very much. That's where I take it up to today.
All right. Thank you, Madam. Thank you, the Queen of Culture. Clearly, this is an area of interest. And we really appreciate that you have spent a bit of time with us. And we should be able to, of course, share. Yes, you can get the recording. We'll be able to share that by the end of day tomorrow. And Damaris, you can also put in your contact details so that those who are looking for culture support can be able to reach out to you.
Sure. Let me put my email.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. I can see just very amazing top comments there. Culture change and transformation is intentional. Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you very much for that input and for being able to share that with us. We really appreciate. All right. So okay. All right. So at this point, I know it's 9:30, Damaris. I don't think we'll be able to take a question. If you need to contact Damaris, there is her email and her phone number as well. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Thank you for being here. And I really appreciate that you would spare some minutes to be here. We will be sharing the recording by end of day tomorrow. And please, if you're looking for somebody to support in your culture endeavors, then that will be Damaris for you. At this point in time, it is 9:30. Allow us to probably, Damaris, you want to give a parting shot? One-liner, tweetable tweet?
Yes, one-liner, no more adding. Let's make it intentional. We can all have a sense of contribution to change the culture at our spaces when we can. So let's go out and see what we can do by reading the nuances. Let's support our organization in creating that culture because it's ours at the end of the day. Thanks very much. Let's keep the engagement going.
All right. Thank you so much, Damaris. And we wish you the very best. Please get in touch with the Damaris to support in your culture. And Richard, thank you so much for being here. Catherine Sidandi, always a pleasure. Thank you for making us inclusive. And to you, our audience, we cannot do this without you. Please, if you know a topic that we need to discuss, please let me know. If you also know of a speaker that we need to host, kindly let me know. I had set out a survey. I don't know where it has disappeared to. So we probably will do that next week, where you get to tell us how to get in touch. How can we reach Damaris? It's up there. She has put actually her number and her. Oh yeah, I have seen what you have seen. Okay, it's to panelists. Just let me reshare that. There you go. I have shared with you. So thank you so much for being here, and we really appreciate. Please join us for the Africa Leadership Transformation Summit conference, which will be happening on 6th to 8th here in Nairobi at the Sarova Pan-Afric. And thank you so much. I see my good friend Mwenda is also here. Thank you, Mwenda. Mwenda is actually launching a book, and on the 29th of August. And there's an amazing dinner coming up. We will be sharing the details shortly in our group. So thank you so much for being here. And please join our WhatsApp group. Get it right with the Tara Solutions. I don't know where my team is. If you're here, kindly share the link to the WhatsApp group. Follow us on Instagram. Get it right with the Tara Solution. Or rather, Instagram is the Tara Solutions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get it right with Atara Solutions. And like our Facebook page, Atara Solutions. And we shall see you next Tuesday. It is HR month. So normally this month we shall be discussing matters affecting the human resource in our organization. So keep it here and come and learn with us, and together we shall make a difference. Thank you so much, and you guys have a lovely, lovely night. And let me know any speaker you want us to host, any topic you think will be relevant. Kindly give us that feedback. And we will be able to bring them on board so that we can all together co-create the solutions together. Thank you so much, and see you next Tuesday, same time, same place, for another amazing conversation. Have yourselves a good night. Richard, anything else?
Good night, and God bless. See you on Tuesday, same time. Good night.
Certainly. Good night.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Damaris.
Thanks,
All right.